Aina had never been the kind of girl who looked for attention. She was quiet in the hallways, gentle in her movements, and almost invisible in the noise of school life. Most people walked past her without noticing her small frame, or the way she always held her books close to her chest as if she were protecting something precious. For years, her teachers knew she was polite and hardworking, but very few knew about the one special thing she kept hidden: her connection to music. Especially the piano. Her love for the piano had started when she was very young. Back then, she used to sit beside her grandmother, who played simple melodies on a small keyboard. Her grandmother never taught her with strict lessons or heavy books. Instead, she just showed her how to feel the sound. "Play what your heart remembers," her grandmother would say. After her grandmother passed away, the piano became the only place where Aina felt like she could still be close to her. Whenever life felt heavy, whenever she felt lonely, or whenever she couldn't find the right words, music became the language she used instead. But Aina never played in front of people. Her music belonged to her own quiet corner of the world, her home. Her room, or the empty music room at school when no one else was around. She feared being judged. She feared making mistakes. And most of all, she feared that if people heard her, they might take away the safe space she had built inside herself. So she kept her talent a secret, letting only a few soft notes escape behind closed doors. Her music teacher had noticed something different about her, though it wasn't anything obvious. It was the way Aina looked at the piano whenever she walked past it, the way her fingers brushed the edge of the instrument without even thinking, the trace of longing in her eyes. Her teacher sensed there was more inside her than she let the world see, and one afternoon she gently approached her. "There's a small school recital next week," the teacher said. "Nothing big, just a friendly gathering. You should participate." Aina's heart dropped. The idea of sitting on a stage playing while people watched her every move made her nervous instantly. She shook her head quickly. I don't think I can," she whispered. Crowds terrified her. Attention terrified her. The thought alone made her stomach twist. The teacher didn't push. She only smiled softly and said, "It's okay. You don't need to play anything complex. Even a simple tune is enough. Just something small, something you're comfortable with." Aina tried to smile back, but her mind was already spinning. She went home that day wondering why someone like her would be asked to perform. She wasn't ready. She didn't want eyes on her. But deep inside, a small voice whispered that maybe her teacher believed she could do more. The thought scared her, but it also warmed her a little. For the next few days, Aina debated what to do. She sat at her old piano, staring at the keys, unable to decide. She could simply refuse. No one would blame her. But each time she thought of saying no, she pictured her grandmother. She remembered how happy her grandmother used to be whenever she played even the smallest tune. She remembered how music had always been her safe place. Maybe sharing a little piece of that wouldn't be so scary. Finally, she agreed. She told her teacher she would play a short piece, nothing dramatic, just a simple melody she had practiced since childhood. Her teacher nodded warmly, proud of her courage. The week passed quickly and the day of the recital arrived. Students gathered in the small auditorium, talking excitedly, adjusting their clothes, tuning instruments, or whispering last-minute changes to their friends. Parents slowly filled the seats, chatting among themselves. It was not a big event, but to Aina, it felt huge. She sat backstage with her hands resting on her knees, trying to calm her breathing. Every sound around her felt louder than normal. The clapping, the footsteps, the shifting chairs, it all felt overwhelming. Her fingers were cold. She rubbed them together, hoping the shaking would stop. She had practiced her simple tune over and over, but still, doubt crept into her mind. What if she messed up? What if her hands froze? What if they laughed? She closed her eyes for a moment and tried to recall the first time she ever played. She remembered her grandmother leaning beside her, saying, "Music doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for honesty." That thought steadied her. When her name was called, she felt her heart jump. She walked onto the stage slowly, her steps small and careful. The bright lights made it hard to see the audience clearly, which was both a relief and a reminder that they were all there, watching. She sat on the wooden bench in front of the old upright piano. Its keys were slightly worn, but familiar. She took a deep breath and placed her fingers over the keys. The room settled. People stopped whispering. A quiet stillness formed, as if everyone sensed her nervousness. She started with the simple tune she had prepared. Soft notes, light and gentle, filled the room. At first, she focused only on hitting the right keys, following the melody exactly as rehearsed. But something inside her shifted. The more she played, the more she felt the weight she had been carrying all week. Her fear, her doubt, her longing to express what she never said out loud. Her fingers slowed for a second, then naturally drifted into a different rhythm, something deeper. She didn't plan it. She didn't think about it. Her hands simply moved on their own, as if they remembered a story she had locked away for too long. She transitioned into the melody she had composed secretly at home, a piece she never meant to show anyone. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't polished. But it was her heart, her memories, her emotions turned into sound. The notes grew fuller, richer, more honest. The simple tune faded away completely, replaced by a beautiful, emotional flow that she had kept hidden for years. Her face softened. Her shoulders relaxed. It was the first time she allowed herself to play freely in front of others without fear, without holding back. Around her, the room began to shift. Conversations stopped. Parents who had been looking at their phones slowly raised their heads. Students who were whispering fell silent. People turned toward the stage, not because they were asked to, but because something in her music reached them unexpectedly. Her teacher stood at the side of the room, eyes widening in surprise. She had suspected Aina was talented, but she never imagined this level of depth, this amount of emotion. The melody carried a kind of quiet strength that captured the room. It was soft yet powerful, calm yet full of feeling. Aina didn't look up even once. She just kept playing, letting her heart guide her fingers. She forgot the crowd. She forgot the lights. She forgot her fear. All she knew was the music she had carried inside her for so long. When the last note drifted into the air, she held it for a moment, letting it fade naturally. Her fingers finally lifted from the keys. For a second, the room didn't move. It was as if everyone needed one quiet breath before they could react. She blinked, unsure of what happened. She expected a few claps, maybe a polite pat of approval. She didn't expect the stunned, silent silence filled with awe, not judgment. She didn't expect people to be frozen, leaning forward, listening with their whole hearts, and that moment, that single breath of stillness, was when she realized something she had never understood before. Music wasn't only her safe place. It was her gift. And for the first time, she had shared it with someone else. When the silence finally broke, it broke in the softest way. Someone in the audience let out a tiny breath, the kind someone releases when they've been holding it without realizing. Then a single pair of hands began clapping, slow at first, then faster, and then suddenly the entire room burst into applause that felt warm, deep, and unexpected. Aina froze for a moment, unsure if she should stand or stay seated. Her heart beat so fast that she could feel it in her fingertips. She lowered her eyes, confused but relieved. Because the fear she had carried all week suddenly felt lighter, she stood slowly, almost shyly, and gave a small bow, something barely noticeable. Her legs felt weak. She didn't know what to do with her hands, whether to hold them together, let them fall to her sides, or keep them over her heart. She chose the last option without thinking. She just wanted to hold on to the feeling spreading inside her. The feeling that she had shown the world a piece of herself, and the world hadn't pushed it away. She walked off the stage. The clapping still filled the room. Her teacher was waiting for her at the side, and the expression on her face was something Aina had never seen before. It wasn't the usual warm smile or gentle encouragement. It was a look of pure amazement mixed with pride, the kind that said, "I always believed there was something special in you. And now you finally let everyone see it." Her teacher placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You didn't just play," she whispered softly. "You opened your heart." That was beautiful. Aina didn't know what to say. She wasn't used to hearing praise. She wasn't used to being seen. She stared down, feeling heat rise in her cheeks. "I didn't plan to play that," she said, her voice almost trembling. "It just happened." "That's how real music comes out," the teacher replied. "It comes when the heart stops holding back." Aina nodded, though she wasn't sure if she understood yet. All she knew was that something had shifted inside her. She felt lighter, yet strangely emotional, like she had just shared a secret she had been keeping for too long. She sat quietly backstage, trying to calm herself. Other students passed by, offering smiles or small comments like, "That was amazing. I didn't know you could play like that," or "You surprised everyone." Their words felt unreal to her. For so long, she had believed she was invisible, the quiet girl no one noticed. But now, people looked at her differently, not with judgment, not with pity, but with admiration and respect. One girl, I walked up to her, someone known for being confident and outspoken. She usually performed at school events and loved being on stage. She sat beside Aina and said softly, "When you played, I don't know. It felt like time stopped." I've never heard something like that from a student, really. Aina didn't know how to respond except with a small smile. She appreciated the kindness, but she was still trying to absorb everything that was happening. She had expected to finish her simple tune, walk off stage quickly, and go home unnoticed. Instead, she found herself in the center of attention in a way she never imagined possible. When the recital ended, people began leaving the auditorium, but several parents approached Aina before they left. They asked gently, "How long have you been playing?" Or, "Do you take special lessons?" Some even said, "Your music moved me," or "You have a gift." She didn't have fancy answers. She simply told the truth that she learned from her grandmother, that she practiced alone, and that she mostly played to feel calm. Walking home that evening, she carried her small bag and hugged her coat around her as the cool air brushed against her skin. The sky was turning a soft orange, fading into pink, and the world felt slower, softer, as if the day had been holding something important for her all along. She replayed the moment in her mind again and again, the shift from the simple tune to the masterpiece that had come from somewhere deep inside her. It was a moment she knew she would remember forever. At home, her mother was cooking dinner when Aina walked in. The smell of warm spices filled the room. Her mother looked up and smiled. "How was the recital?" she asked casually, unaware of what had happened. Aina set her bag down gently and answered quietly, "It went really well." Her mother turned off the stove and walked closer. "You're smiling," she said softly, noticing a glow in her daughter's eyes that she hadn't seen in a long time. "Tell me about it." Aina shared the whole story, how nervous she had been, how she didn't plan to play anything big, how her hands took over on their own, and how everyone reacted. Her mother listened carefully, and when Anna finished, she pulled her into a hug. "Your grandmother would be so proud," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Later that night, when Aina sat at her piano at home, she placed her fingers on the keys and played the same melody she had shared on stage. But this time it felt different, not because the notes changed, but because she wasn't hiding anymore. She felt free, as if the fear that once held her back had loosened its grip. Over the next few days, something new began to happen at school. People who never spoke to her before suddenly said hello. Some asked if she planned to perform again. Others wanted to know more about her music. She wasn't used to the attention, but she tried to stay calm and humble. She didn't want to be treated like someone special. She just wanted to continue playing the piano the way she always had, but her teacher had different ideas. One afternoon, she called Aina to the music room. The room was quiet and warm, with sunlight falling through the big window onto the piano keys. Her teacher gestured for her to sit. "You need to hear something important," she said gently. "Your performance wasn't just good. It was the kind of performance that makes people stop and feel something." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "You should think about sharing your music more often. Not for applause, not for recognition, but because you have a voice inside you that deserves to be heard." Aina looked at the piano, unsure how to respond. "I don't know if I'm ready," she whispered. "No one is ever fully ready," the teacher said with a small smile. "But you took the first step." That's the hardest part. For the first time, Aina wondered what it would be like to grow beyond her quiet corner, to let more people hear the music she kept hidden, to trust herself a little more. In the weeks that followed, she practiced regularly, not because she wanted to impress anyone, but because she felt more connected to the piano than ever. She began writing new melodies, small pieces that reflected her feelings, some soft and gentle, others filled with emotion she never put into words. Her teacher encouraged her to join a larger performance held by the community center. The idea scared her again, but not the way it used to. This time, the fear didn't paralyze her. It only reminded her that something meaningful was waiting on the other side. She decided to try. The night of the performance arrived, and as she stepped onto the stage of the bigger hall, she felt the same flutter of nerves she felt during the school recital. But this time, she carried something else with her too: courage. Not loud, flashy courage, but a quiet strength that came from knowing she had already faced her fear once before. When she began playing, the hall responded the same way the school had, with silence, with stillness, with emotion, and in that moment, she realized that the simple request that started everything, just play something small, had led her to a place she never expected. A place where her music didn't just belong to her anymore. It belonged to everyone who listened. Everyone who felt something from it. Her life didn't change overnight, but it changed in the ways that mattered. She learned to believe in herself. She learned that sharing her talent didn't take her safe place away, it expanded it. And most importantly, she learned that sometimes the world doesn't see you until you let it hear you. From that day on, she carried her music with confidence, not loud confidence, not showy confidence, but the kind that sits quietly in the heart and grows every time you choose to be brave.